I've talked about numerous different subjects at different times, and usually it's involved with some traveling and all, but tonight I decided to do something different. All right, now that I've got you up a little closer, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about habits, bad habits, good habits, nasty habits. So, before I start talking about the subject coming, I am not intentionally attempting to glorify any bad or what's considered bad habit. I'm just, as the guy that works with me says, I'm just keeping it real, dog. I'm just keeping it in perspective. Some of the things that I've done as habits aren't really good. So let's start out with one. Like, now I have a full set of nails. For years, I bit my nails. I can't explain why. I can't explain how I managed to finally stop. But I would have my nails bit off into the quick. And so, a good example, one of the horrible things about biting your nails and not having them if you're a guy is the fact that you'll have one of these. And this one, pocket knife. Most of the older style had a little thing on them, a little niche cut into the blade, where you could slide your thumb in that groove and then pull the blade open. Well, this one doesn't have. I searched high and low looking for a good pocket knife. This is made by Buck. It's a Buck, what is it? Buck USA. I don't know if it's got a name, but anyway, the neat thing about it, and the specific reason why I wanted it, now that even though I don't bite my nails, is it's got a flip thumb piece where I can flip it open with one hand. And that may not be important to most people, but a good example, I got a bag of chicken feed. I'm holding it up over a bin and I want to cut it open so I can drop the chicken. Well, I don't want to put the chicken feed down, just open the knife. I don't want to open the knife and then carry the knife with me with the bag of I'll just have the knife in my pocket, carry the bag of chicken feed over, flip the knife open, and cut the bag, slit it open, and dump the chicken feed. Also the rabbit feed, or the dog food, or cat food, or cat litter, or the rabbit litter. Okay, I guess you're kind of getting the idea. I've got a ton of animals around here, huh? Yeah. We've got 4 chickens, a rabbit, a cat, and a dog. So, yeah, a number of animals. And they all seem to want to eat for some reason, so we give them food. But anyway, the next habit, drinking. No, I didn't mean Perrier. What I actually meant was, and before anybody says it, yes, I am in Kentucky. I am a Kentuckian. I was born here. I was raised here, and I'll probably die here. But I have traveled the world with the military, and I do like Perrier, and I do like San Pellegrino, and many other sparkling waters. What we used to in Germany call, the wife and me, carbonated dirt water. In other words, mineral water, it's carbonated. But that wasn't what I was wanting to talk about. I was going to talk about alcoholic beverages. I started drinking when I was like 13. Yeah, that was a few years ago. But I drank from the time I was 13 to 18 pretty significantly, getting drunk and carrying on. And after I was able, well, not at 18, but later at 21, it was legal. I wasn't legal drinking at 13 to 18. And, well, in Tennessee I was when I went down there from Fort Campbell, but yeah, that was Tennessee. But once it was legal, I kind of lost interest. It was no fun. And I'll admit, when I was a teenager, I drank. My thoughts on it were, hey, you're drinking. The point is to get drunk. I mean, that's why you drink. But not a good habit. Me saying it personally for myself. And I was thankfully one of those people that I only yacked or barfed or vomited or threw up, whatever you want to call it, twice in my entire life. And it wasn't an experience I ever want to do again. Do I still drink alcoholic beverages? Yeah. I might have drank maybe a case of beer over the last 10 months, maybe. But when I say case, I'm talking bottles, and I'll admit maybe I'm a beer snob, but I like lagers. I don't like citrusy, hoppy tasting IPAs and stuff like that. I can't stomach them. I liked German beers. When I was there, I would drink one, but it wasn't like drinking beers. It was like get a brötchen and some sausage, or what they call bratwurst, and some mustard on it. Shove the bratwurst in the brötchen is the way they'd serve it, and get a beer with it. And the beer was warm, wasn't cold. Drink the beer, eat the bratwurst, eat the brötchen. It's a meal. You're done. Today, I'll drink maybe some Canadian Molson, maybe I don't know, and I don't quote, before anybody says yeah it's not a lager. I don't know. I just know it tastes good. But I'll drink maybe one, and that might be one a week or one a month. I think the last beer I had was like a week ago, and I drank it with a meal. It was a German beer from Bamberg, Germany, one of the places I was stationed many years ago. So anyway, that's another habit I had. Biting my nails, drinking, and I drink now, but when I say drinking, I meant drinking like a lot, or drinking like whiskey or vodka or something else, and drinking with the specific intent to get tipsy or drunk. Another habit. This and maybe something, I don't know where it's made, I guess here in Kentucky somewhere. It's called Big Mountain, but you'll probably recognize more notorious or notoriety given brands like Red Man, Levi Garrett, chewing tobacco. And you've probably seen in a few videos where you watch me go and spit tobacco juice on the ground near me. Is it a habit? Yeah. Is it what most people consider a nasty habit? Yeah. It's pretty gross, and you get tobacco stuck in your teeth and it's kind of nasty. But yeah, my teeth are crooked, but that's because the wisdom teeth pushed them forward, and I never really considered getting them fixed because I can still bite things with them. Right now, yeah, I'm in Kentucky and I have all but one tooth. The one tooth that's missing is a wisdom tooth. I still have all three of the others. So yeah, I've not lost teeth due to this, but I do know where my toothbrush is. Now, chewing tobacco, when did I start? That's religiously, well, not religiously, but chewing quite frequently, probably when I was 13. When did I have my first chew of chewing tobacco? That's pretty easy. I think the age was 5. How did I get it? Well, my dad chewed tobacco. He always had a pouch of Red Man or Beech Nut or Beech Nut Wintergreen or Beech Nut Spearmint. Yeah, they used to have spearmint chewing tobacco. I guess if you could buy it in gum like Wrigley's gum, you could buy it in Beech Nut flavoring. Beech Nut chewing tobacco mix. So he was working in a garage outside, out back. In fact, right here where I'm at now, only out back. And I don't know what he was working on, but he was working on something. And here I am, little tiny toe-headed boy, comes out and goes, "Daddy, can I have some?" He, I think, just put some chewing tobacco in his mouth. And of course, I asked him for some, thinking maybe it's candy or food or something. Well, my dad decided, I guess, at a very young age, he was going to break me of the urge to follow in his footsteps and chew chewing tobacco. So he gave it to me, just handed me the pouch. No instructions, nothing about spitting, don't swallow the juice, don't swallow the tobacco. Excuse me. Don't swallow the tobacco. Nothing like that. No instructions whatsoever. So what I do, I'm a little kid, I'm sitting there, I've got the pouch, and I'm like, oh, well, I've seen Dad do this, and he went like this, and he took his fingers, and he picked around in the pouch, and he got him some, and he put it in his mouth. Yeah, and probably about what I just looked like was probably what I looked like as a 5-year-old getting my first chew of chewing tobacco. So what happened next? I mean, if you've ever tried chewing tobacco, you can probably figure what happened next. There I was, little bitty kid, put some in my mouth, I'm like, and of course the very next thing I did was, when I did that, all bets were off. The party ended. Turn out the lights. It's fixing to be bad. I don't know if I left the garage or if just right there in Dad's garage I just threw up. Needless to say, the chewing tobacco left my mouth and the contents of my stomach left my stomach. And that was a horrible experience. So you would have thought it would have taught me a good lesson, I guess, is the way my dad thought. And of course he knew I was going to swallow the juice, and he knew I was going to throw up almost immediately. And I guess he thought experience was the best mentor or guide. So you can say he was cruel or whatever, 5-year-old kid barfing his guts out chewing tobacco, but it kept me from chewing tobacco until I was 13. So yeah, at age 13, and I know today you go in any establishment, they want to card you to buy chewing tobacco or cigarettes or anything else. As you can see by the gray in my beard, I'm not that young. And so when I was young, I'd just go to the store nearby and buy chewing tobacco and chew it away. And I remember there was one, I think it was R.J. Reynolds' company. It was called R.J. Gold or something like that. It was kind of sweet and I liked it. Oh, I don't want to spit in my water bottle. That would be kind of gross. Oh, never mind. Yeah, I got me kind of a spittoon thing down here, so yeah. Anyway, so from the time I was 13 till 20 or so, I chewed pretty constantly. To an extent. Off again, on again, off again. I mean, I've quit chewing tobacco numerous times. I don't seem to have something weird in my body chemistry that doesn't addict me to caffeine, doesn't addict me to nicotine, and things like that, so I don't have those massive cravings like most people do. I can just, if I didn't want to do this anymore, I just wouldn't buy another pouch, and I wouldn't chew chewing tobacco anymore. And so I wouldn't have it. I remember when I first joined the Army, I was at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. I was 20 years old, brand new private, and I was working in the 541st Transportation Company there. I used to always have a big wad of chewing tobacco in my mouth because, if you stuff a big wad in your mouth, then what happens then is you can chew on it for you don't really chew chewing tobacco. You just kind of hold it in your jaw, maybe gnaw it a little bit every now and then, and then you squeeze it with your jaw to get the juice and then spit the juice out. And the key to it, I guess, for a lot of people is the nicotine. For me, it's the flavor. Because, like I was saying a minute ago, the nicotine seems to have no effect on me. Or at least there's not enough nicotine in it to really do much for me. I tried Copenhagen and that stuff once or twice, and I was like, ugh. And the only reason I didn't like Copenhagen, it didn't taste all that good, and that's why I like chewing tobacco, the taste. But I didn't like the taste of Copenhagen. But on top of that, it was like chasing sand around. You put it in your lip, and then you spend the rest of the day chasing it around in your mouth with your tongue, trying to corner it and get it back in your lip. And that just didn't work for me. And on top of that, I don't know what the nicotine level is in Copenhagen versus chewing tobacco, but I chewed tobacco most of my life, from, like I said, age 13 onward. But Copenhagen, I could put that in my lip, and within a few minutes I would be dizzy. Maybe it's just like a massive scoop of, throw caffeine, or not caffeine, nicotine. Throw nicotine in your face and knock you out with it, type dose of nicotine. But it would make me dizzy and not feel well. And I think that's kind of the feeling some people get from chewing tobacco. So I'm guessing that's why a lot of people say dip or snuff or Copenhagen is really more addictive. I guess, I don't know. Like I say, if I wanted to quit tomorrow, I just don't buy the pouches, I don't have the chewing tobacco, and I don't chew. So that's another habit. And while I mentioned Copenhagen being called snuff, that always puzzled me because, growing up in the time period I did, I would see people with, quote, snuff on TV, and it was tobacco, but it was like fine ground tobacco, and they would sniff it up their nose. And I was like, why would you do that? I can just picture you with little tiny flakes of tobacco, like powder, up in your nose and your sinus cavities. It's like, to me, asking for nasal infection, but that's the way they did it. So when I first heard of Copenhagen or Skoal or whatever being called snuff, I thought they were supposed to put up their nose. And no, I never put it up my nose, thank God. But that's what I thought they were going to do with this stuff. I thought it was like the old time snuff. But anyway, enough about chewing tobacco habit. And yes, I'm not spitting this out. I mean, it's brand new. I just put it in. Chewing tobacco being another habit. Trying to think what other bad habits or habits people have. That's kind of what I was wanting to make this video about. Habits, bad habits, good habits, whatever. And you could say good habits like now, yeah, Perrier, but the key is water. You know, I used to drink soda or pop or Coke all the time. And that's a whole different story, being how many people have you known that call it pop? I always heard that people that were from like Ohio coming down into Kentucky, they always called it pop. Some other people called it soda. When I was growing up, it's just called Coke. And I don't mean Coca-Cola brand. I mean any kind of, what people say, soda pop. Any carbonated drink with like syrup in it was a Coke. So you would go into a restaurant back then and somebody would say, would you like a Coke? And you'd say yes. They would say, well, what kind? And they weren't asking whether you wanted a Coke, a Diet Coke, or a Coke with cherry flavor. They were wanting to know whether you wanted Coke, Pepsi, Sprite, Orange, Fanta, or whatever the other thing was on there. They'd even list them for you. So everybody at one point called it Coke, or maybe that was just where I was. But I hear many people call it pop. I never understood pop. Maybe it's just the bubbles pop. I don't know where that nomenclature came from. Soda, you know, soda water. I guess you're adding soda something to make it bubbly, carbonation. I don't know. But anyway, that was a habit I had at one time, drinking massive quantities of soda. I used to, in fact, I still have some because I just recently quit. And I had like 2 liters of Diet Mountain Lightning. Why? Well, Diet Mountain Dew was basically the equivalent of Diet Mountain Lightning. The only difference is 2 liter of Diet Mountain Dew cost like $1.30. The Mountain Lightning cost at one time 68 cents for a 2 liter. I was like, why would I give you double the money for something that tastes the same? Now, I would get argued down by so many people that Mountain Dew tastes so much better. And you see people that do Mountain Dew and drink tons of carbonated drinks, and they drink regular drinks, not diet. I started drinking diet, I think it was in 1989, because I was afraid I was going to get fat in the Army, and I wanted to drink soda, so I started drinking diet. And then after drinking it for a few years, oh, and by the way, when I was so worried about being fat, I weighed 156 pounds, but I was terrified I was going to get fat. And so, after drinking it for a while, I couldn't drink regular soda anymore. To me, it tastes like you took Kool-Aid or something and put a half a bag of sugar in it. That's the way it tasted, like syrup. It was so nasty to me. But diet sodas of any kind, or Diet Pop or Diet Coke, whatever, always tasted more watery, and plus you could drink them like water. The only thing I did notice is through your pores now, and you would sweat out the saccharin or the Splenda or whatever it was, and so you had this sweet fruity smell about your body. It's kind of weird if you drank a whole bunch, in which I did. So that was another habit I had, drinking tons of soda. Now I drink predominantly water. Maybe I'll go like to Kroger or somewhere and get the 1 liters of water with like grape flavor or something like, you know, it's no calories, but it's still water. It's just got a little flavoring in it. But admittedly, I prefer this, Perrier, or this, San Pellegrino. I prefer those. And I'll work with club soda too, because I found, you know, trying to drink Perrier, and if you drink as much as I do, and I might go through a half case of this in a day, that gets expensive after a while. So one of the other options I do is I'll go to like Kroger and get the 2 liters of club soda for like $1 and something, and then I'll refill smaller bottles, put in the refrigerator. This one's not a refill. This is actual, the little bit that's left is for real Perrier that I bought earlier today and put in the refrigerator earlier. So if you can think about it, if you wouldn't mind, leave some comments down below and tell me about some bad habits you've had or good habits. You know, maybe you're eating right. Maybe you love to eat fruit every day, an apple a day, which I do now, but before I used to eat crappy, but that's in another video that I'll post sometime, maybe around the same time I do this one. But post down there what bad habits you've had that you managed to break, maybe how you got started, how you decided to break them, and what you thought about it. Have a good night.